last time.
And what an a-hole I am. Flash tune, flash tune, flash tune, flash tuner, flash tune, 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 why?
And now, the conclusion.
My stand just bent. Look at that. This slider is the one that seemed to make contact with the ground, and I guess it's got a little scuff down here. This is why I wanted to be able to use the stands, because my DIY bench is awesome. It works really, really well. I get questions about it all the time. Maybe I need like a follow-up or something on it. Like, it's been great. Just sometimes I got junk on this thing. This is actually all stuff that's going on the build. So I said we're like, oh, we're almost done. I mean, we are, but there is still a lot of stuff that you haven't seen yet that's going on the bike that's pretty freaking cool. Let's go to the old board here. Haven't used that in a minute. And let's discuss the lights that we're gonna put on the bike here. Yeah, I'm gonna erase this, okay? If you want to remember it, buy a shirt. You can buy a shirt, a flag, all kinds of things with that logo on it if you want to get it. I appreciate it. It does really help this project. We get a lot of great hookups, and we have a lot of good things going on that make these things doable by the sponsors. It's really great. But we also really need a little extra support sometimes. And things like these shirts, all that just goes right to it. So anyway, let's talk about the front end of the motorcycle. All right, our motorcycle, right? Shut up. The last video we added this, our LP9. We've got 3 lights that do kind of a low beam, as represented like that. And then these guys are like a spot, these 6 up here, which don't go to the side, they go out. I don't know how to represent that. You get the idea. See, there's the cage that we just dropped the bike on a minute ago. We want to add 2 more smaller lights down here and put them on a pretty good spread. Obviously, we have plenty of forward thrown light from our LP9 Pro. It's an absurdly bright light. A good bit of this is for safety, daytime safety for that matter. There's been a number of studies out there that seem to show that having your lights on different planes seems to help people down the road in traffic sort of judge your distance and speed a little bit better. You know, with our motorcycles, even when they have multiple lights, if they're right next to each other, you know, for a car down the street, it looks like a single point. They can't see as well. And this is probably why one of the most common accidents involving another vehicle and a motorcycle is a car pulling in front of a motorcycle. By putting some lights on another plane, we kind of break up our image going down the road. We got these going through a pretty well flooded beam there, as well as it's going to be going through an amber beam. Even better distinguish what we are by having different sets of color lights coming at you, as well as these just kind of help fill in a little bit of the lower area. Let me show you what we got. Baja Designs S1s. We have them in the amber lens. We've got 2 of them. I kind of see now, like, where truck guys go ridiculous and put 300 lights on their vehicle. It's like, it's kind of addicting. It's fun. Once again, thanks to Baja for setting me up with these lights. This kit comes with a basic harness if you just wanted to hook these up to the battery and have an on-off switch, as well as some bracketry that we're gonna need. But we've also got all of this stuff, yeah. So everything to do a normal wiring harness, as well as some clamps Baja makes that will let us attach these right to our crash cage bars with a relay. And this is what I was talking about in the last video, how we got sort of lucky because we didn't need to build a relay system with an on-off switch and all that other stuff. But now we do. Originally, I was just gonna build my own harness, but I was talking to Baja and I said, you know, I really actually would love to demonstrate it using all your products, how simple this can be. Because I feel like, again, this is one of those things where it's super intimidating. People are like, oh man, I don't know how to do all that. You will, it's not hard. The S1s from Baja, each one of these puts out like over 2,000 something lumens. I think the combined for the 2 of them is like 4,700, like 50 lumens or something, which is, I think, about as much as my XR puts out total. So just these 2 will be pretty intense. But again, like I said, I'm going through a wide cornering and through an amber lens. So I think between the 2, we shouldn't be destroying people down the road. Just like the main headlight, these things are absolutely awesome. They're aluminum built. They've got this cooling stuff here on the back. Power wash these things. I'm not worried about stuff getting thrown up off the tires and hitting them. They're built like a tank. They're really strong. They're very well made. First, let's mount these lights. If you get the Adventure Bike kit, which is what we got here, you'll see they come in different inch numbers. And that has to do with what size these clamps are here. These are the 1-inch clamps, which is, well, it's what my bars were before powder coating. They're a little thicker than that now, but we'll make this work. I figured this was just like a friction thing, but it's actually not. There's actually some notches in here, so it actually locks into different positions. That will bolt on here. Put a couple pieces of tape around it to kind of protect it. And once we figured it all out, I mean, we'll pull this back off. Something maybe like that. So after playing with it for a few minutes, I actually kind of ended up in this setting. This guy's sitting on here, and the cable going back, behind there into the bike. I think we're tilted a little bit that way, but not enough to make a big difference. Not to mention, these are gonna be pointed somewhat down anyway. I think I'm gonna put a strip of vinyl tape though, right where I want this thing to sit, just to sort of protect it a little bit. I'm going to attempt to actually apply the tape directly inside this. Turned out pretty clean. You can barely even tell there's tape in there. Tape. Something I just figured out is that these bars are not 100% symmetrical, which is not a problem with the cage. It's because these mounts are slightly different from one another. I'm gonna kind of use the radiator shroud on one side or the other to sort of help me be symmetrical. Still be able to get the pitch and everything, I imagine, the same. We have them bolted down. I guess if I had gone closer down to the bottom of these mounts, I think they're much more symmetrical down here side to side. Figured as soon as I fell over, this would be much more damaged. Basically, by coming up, we're protecting it a little bit. Now we can start looking at the wiring. I'm gonna walk you through it, and even if you have no understanding of how any of this works, you should be able to do this. Let's just get really simple here. Let's say this is your battery. We have a bulb over here, positive and negative power going into it. So we connect our light bulb on the negative, and we do the same to the positive, and our light turns on. Hooray, right? There's a couple problems here. One, what happens if this thing shorts out? Current can flow at an unrestricted rate. Well, that would create fire. We need a little inline fuse here. That's my fuse. Something happens, this shorts out, this will pop. Good. Well, now we have another problem. The light's just on all the time, so we need to add a switch. We can shut this, get power, open it, and the power turns off. This is basically what your car has inside of it. It's why you can just go turn the lights on without the key in the ignition. The problem is we have a motorcycle, and we don't want someone just to be able to walk up and turn the lights on, okay? The button to the lights are not secured within a vehicle. So what we need to do is replace this switch with an electronic switch called a relay. Elsewhere on your bike, you've got switch power items. When you turn your key on, whether through a relay or actual switched items, you're going to have some powered items. So when you turn the key on, power turns off. Now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, let's just steal switch power off of here to power our light. But no, we don't ever want to do that, because this circuit was not meant to power a light. This circuit was meant to power whatever it's meant to power. But we can use this to run our relay. Just basically just an electric switch. To turn this switch on, we'll actually tap into a switch power item. And the cool thing is, this relay uses a very, very small amount of power, small enough that we shouldn't have an issue powering this. In fact, if our relay was overwhelming this circuit, then this circuit is pretty weak on its own. We probably need to look into that. Our relay now says when the key turns on, our electric switch shuts and turns the lights on. And that's pretty good, except we still want to have some control over this light. Just add another switch down here. The negative is pretty much always connected. This is also the ground on the vehicle. A new chassis part of the vehicle will have negative power feeding to it. The positive is all the key stuff here. So we have a fuse, we have a relay, and we have a switch. Our wiring harness from Baja Designs has all this stuff built into it. One of these harnesses here has a fuse in it. That's the one we're going to start with. And just to make sure everything is safe as we're going, let's go ahead and pop this fuse out. And the nice thing here with our anti-gravity battery, along with having all the great benefits that you get from having this battery, is we actually have 2 terminal sets on here. They give you really nice hardware too with these anti-gravity batteries. Sometimes I take these zip ties and kind of train them a little bit with a little curl. Yeah, so they'll make life a little easier for you when trying to fish it through. I'm gonna feel really clever if I could do this without taking the gas tank off, and I think I can. Through this section. Oh, easy. Bring it through. And then my cable comes out right here, and I think this is where the ABS pump would sit. And this looks complicated, but it's not too bad. Look, up here's your relay. Don't even worry about that. Let me just tell you what things plug into. This plugs into that connector we just brought up. That's what's gonna give it power. These guys go to our lights, one for each side, simple enough. And what you have here is a little wire tap. Basically, we're gonna stick a wire through each of these passages here and close those. And what we're looking for is a negative and positive wire that we also want to be the trigger for what turns on these lights. Now, according to the directions, they tell you to wire this to the high beam, so that way when you go to high beam, you would get these extra lights. I'd like to be able to control them on low beam and high beam. So if I switch them to low beam, well, then they'll turn off when I go to high beam, so that's no good either. So instead what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the running light because that one is on all the time. I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna unplug our little connector we made from the last video, which is gonna be a pain, but I think I can do it through this hole here. Black was our ground, and our other black with a copper inside was our running light. I have to cut back some of our beautiful shrink wrap on here, which had this thing looking so neat. We need to get our 2 black wires, a little wire tap in here. Got it. Just line your wire up in here and shut the door. And there, you've tapped that one. Plug back in my H4 and my running light. And all this has to do now is go back into the Baja kit, but I kind of tucked it over here because this is going to give me a little better access to attach our other wires. So what I want to do first here is grab our little switch wire here. Let's go and run it up since we're right here. See if by loosening that, if I can slip this in. Oh, it's close. I have to lose our place here. Oh, there we go, we're in. Taking our wiring here, this piece, I'm gonna feed it back through the same place our other wire was going through, right here. These are the 2 wires off of the harness, this is the 2 off the switch. So we wanna route this probably up underneath here as close as we can to this other wire. 2 little leads here, we'll plug one in right here. And the other one, instead of plugging it in, you'll put it in line with our switch. Plug back in our LP9, little bunchy back here, but we'll clean it up in a minute. And I'm gonna throw the light on real quick. Yep, my running light came on, so that's good. Add a few zip ties around a few points in here. So coming back over here to our wires. So let's connect our power, and the only wires left now connect to the lights. Run this down behind here. There's a nice hollow space. We're gonna clean the wiring up here in a minute. We'll just get everything connected first. There's that one. And now the other one goes on the other side. I'm gonna run it down kind of through the same space and then across to the other side. Like that. Everything is connected now, so let's go ahead and slot our 30 amp back in. Okay, at this point, everything is connected. So if I push this button, oh, look at that. You don't get to see this. You don't get to see this. Let's clean the wiring up and then we will see how they look. See, we've kind of got everything pulled up into this one spot. The relay itself, there's a hole right here. I don't know what it goes to. I'm sure it had something to do with the ABS pump, so I'm just gonna use that. Everything seems happy, looks nice. A lot of wiring to tidy up, but I think we did a pretty good job. There was definitely a lot to sort of hide and stuff in places, but I think it looks all good. And now what I'd like to do, just like we did before, I've got the bike kind of aiming at the garage door here and see how the lights work. I've tried this with a few cameras now, and they all seem to have kind of a hard time seeing the color of this. The turn signal, for instance, very amber looking. This is definitely a more yellowy looking light. Still well within the range of being amber. Got them aimed pretty low. I don't think they'll bother any drivers coming down the road. It'll be easier to adjust once we actually, I'll take it out there and do some running around with it. So yeah, pretty bright. Glad I did that to my eyes. I want to do what I did last time, actually take you out on the road and show you what it looks like at night. There's a slight problem right now. I only have this one pair of riding glasses, and they're broken right now. I've got them off being repaired. But all in all, I love it. It's the total over-the-top adventure bike kind of look now. That's total adventure bike style though, man. You gotta have lights as if you're gonna be at a endurance night race, But most of the remaining things now to go on the bike have to do with like the rear tail light and then kind of the body work going on it, and then finishing up with kind of the luggage system. So yeah, we're really getting close to the end now. We've had a pretty good uptick in Patreons lately. So if you're not a part of that, you should know that this video is this amount longer over on Patreon and features no other advertisement, no monetization, comes out early, there's no censorship. I do that because I don't like having to nerf these videos down for YouTube, which we always have to do a little bit of. With the way they've completely screwed up the AdSense system, advertising and Patreon is what really keeps this channel afloat now. So if you want to help support, go over there and check it out. There'll be an annotation up here and a link in the description if you want to go check that out. If not, that's fine, stay over here with me. These videos aren't going away. But otherwise, another thing I really want to show you guys, and I think this is just the best place to kind of throw it into a video, is the gear. gear I'm gonna be wearing on this trip. Now, like I mentioned a few videos ago that we had a new sponsor helping out with some stuff there, and that was Revzilla. Hooked it up with a lot of gear and some luggage stuff for this project. We've got a whole kit of it top to bottom now. I'm gonna show you everything basically I'm gonna be wearing when I'm out there doing adventures, you know? So it means we gotta get naked. This is Jake here with Decide and Ride. In today's video, we're gonna talk about some adventure gear, and I'm gonna say it all as fast as I can without taking a single breath. That's what I do, right? You get a sponsor, and the first thing I do is I make fun of them. Anthony, if you end up hearing this, I love your reviews. It's probably what made Revzilla. I know you've stepped down from some of your roles there. Come back, man. I want some more Decide and Rides from you. In general, that's something that made Revzilla kind of on the map, was their really honest, good reviews, showing off gear and getting to see it. And huge thanks, of course, to Revzilla for setting us up with the gear that we're gonna need for this trip. I thought it'd be just interesting to show you what I wear and kind of get dressed. I don't know why. Realizing I didn't want to start off completely naked on camera, I went ahead and, like I said, put the base layer on, but it's pretty revealing. Definitely would get the old yellow demonetization thing there, and I don't think anyone on Patreon wants to see that anyway. I guess we'll have to start them OnlyFans. The gear I'm going to show you here, a lot of this is very warm weather oriented adventure gear. I think when you look at a lot of adventure gear out there on the market, you see stuff that tries to be this hardcore 4-season. You're going to go out for the next 8-9 months on your bike. And that's cool and all, but doesn't really always work in the real world. I think that's another important thing to note is, you know, I'm in Texas, in the Dallas area. We don't have that dry heat. We've got that southern, eastern style heat, which for you is down there. You gotta have some stuff that's gonna breathe. You always see it on there. It's like, ask a gear geek. Like, legitimately, you should probably use that. Like, cause I had a bunch of stuff that I thought was really cool, and they're like, you're gonna burn up in that. And so they suggested a lot of the stuff that I've got here. I feel silly for never using this service before. They didn't ask me to say this. I'm just telling you. So anyways, yeah, to start off here, this actually wasn't from Revzilla. The first thing I have on here is like my base layer. Really help you stay cool. Next thing here, my knee braces. These are CTI knee braces. Again, this actually isn't anything I got from Revzilla. I've had these for years. CTI actually hooked me up with these. They're awesome. For any of you who've been around for a while, you know I had a knee surgery on this knee. I wear one on both knees. This one I've changed the lockouts to not let my knee extend or retract quite as much as on my other one. Or my good knee. Everyone with a bad knee knows you don't really have a good knee. And this is also really a good reason too for the base layer. It's nice not to have the brace directly against your skin. It'll pull the crap out of your leg hair and chafe you pretty bad. I've wrecked them a few times. What's nice about them is they are also my armor. And despite how they look, this is all carbon fiber. It has some kind of coating over it. This whole thing can get soaking wet. Like, actually wakeboarders like them, which is good because it means you can hose them off if you need to be. And you can see they're getting a little worn, but they still do their job. Base layer on, my knee braces on. This is like step one for me. None of the stuff is from Revzilla. I'm doing a horrible job. I'm sorry, Revzilla, I suck at this. Let's actually get to something that they did give me. These pants, check it out. These are from Klein, fancy stuff. Klein makes some really good adventure gear. These are the Mojave pants. They're a very warm weather pant. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you all the intricate little things are dirty. I wrote them in the rain. All the, there's, you know, you go watch like the actual Revzilla video, they're gonna sit there and tell you like what this material is and this material is. This part's leather, I know that. I did ride with these already and was in the rain. They're not meant to be waterproof, but there is a level of water resistance. And it's funny, until we hit a good rain pour, water wasn't penetrating this. Then there was like a point where then it finally was. So, but that's fine. This is meant to be hot weather gear stuff. And in hot weather, you don't care. You're like, yeah, bring it on. We'll kind of like turn, because I gotta like, maybe if I get closer, look, actually, if I get closer, then, now you can't see anything, can you? Come in two styles. You can get them where they tuck into the boot or go over the boot. These are over the boots. Personally, I like that a little better. Also, they just seem to work better with knee braces. When you have knee braces like this that have all their armor, you just don't use armor in the knees. And that's actually something else about these pants and the jacket I'm gonna show you. They didn't come with any armor. And I used to hate that. I used to think, what cheap sell gear and don't put the armor in it, right? When you include the armor system, your customer's paying for that whether they're gonna use it or not. So for instance, for me, I've bought many of riding jeans, and the first thing I have to do is I rip the knee armor out and then I see if it'll fit with my brace. Why pay for the expense of something I'm not gonna use? And as long as they're upfront about it, they say it doesn't include it, here's the option to buy it, or buy pieces of it, that's totally fine. I think I got like rust on all my stuff. It's on the boots too. We rode down a railroad track. I've got some video from that. I need to do something with it. It's a good way to break in your gear. I got rained on all this gear, and then I went and played on a rusty bridge. And now, for the jacket, I actually want to hurry up and get this thing on. This does not breathe super well. And just like the pants, it's full of all kinds of different panels, different things. Got a pop reflectivity, and that what Anthony would always talk about on there. But looking good, man. Y'all, Revzilla, y'all do not have to hook it up with the Klein, man. Y'all making me look kind of pretentious over here. Oh, for my Klein gear. Very breathable on the inside. I've got some D3O armor in it, the elbows and the sleeves here. All kinds of zippers and vents and things. You can hold the collar out. Very, very nice. It feels light. I like this. That's one thing I like about both of these gear sets here. They feel very light. You will notice they don't perfectly match. That's because this is Dakar and that's the Mojave pants. You can get a set in one or the other. This is just what we decided to go with. I asked for these colors knowing they're not like a perfect match. I kind of wanted the deserty color look, even though that's nothing on the bike. One thing real interesting you can do here. There it is. Okay. There it is. You can remove the sleeves. Is that something you're gonna regularly do? I don't know. But you know, I could definitely see a scenario where you were in maybe some tight off-roady spot, not going very quick. It's always a bit risky, you know, not having all your armor, but there's times where I've ripped my whole jacket off off-roading just because things got slow. Good gear should keep me cool, keep me protected, and when the going gets hot and I'm hot and I shouldn't be as hot, y'all should hire me, Revzilla. Look at me, I know what I'm talking about. The boots. And they say adventure right here on them, so they gotta be good. These are Forma, I assume is how you say this brand. And again, look, they're already pretty dirty here. So there's your rust from walking around that rusty bridge. Hey, we gotta test this stuff out, dude. I've gone with the leather look because it's cool, bro. I go to my Starbucks and I'm trying to show off. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this is like an adventure boot here. They feel pretty nice to walk around in. They are waterproof, I believe, up to about this point. Up to that point of waterproof. It stays pretty cool on the inside. It was pretty hot the day we were out riding and they felt fine. Dry-Tex. Some kind of stuff in there. It's doing a thing. And it works well. I found them comfortable, very flexible right off the bat. You know, they almost tuck into each other a little bit there. So you have this really great line of protection. I've only really done one ride with them. You see, I've got a good degree of flexibility. And for our helmet, we've got this here, the Scorpion, this one, yes, this one. This is like an adventure dual sport helmet. So you got a visor, you've got a nice drop down, that's always cool. And one thing some of you will hate, this is modular. And they're just gonna rip open in an accident. I don't know, do your car doors rip open in an accident? What holds them down? They just have one latch, this has two. So from what I understand, the only other helmet on the market, dual sport helmet like this, it also is a modular, Shaboofs, whatever they're called, and they cost more than I care to ever think about. I'm a hardcore riding guy, that's what's up, man. Hey y'all. I'm thinking of scenarios where you're hot on the trail, riding a bike that's way too heavy to be out there. The ability to open up your helmet, take a breath, take a drink. That's gonna be pretty cool. I wouldn't take this to the racetrack, of course. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'll lose my face, but I don't think it's gonna come flying open. A lot of people who've been riding for a long time trust these helmets. It's kind of a loud helmet. Earplugs are definitely gonna be a must, particularly with that bike. I do have a Sena C10 Evos. We'll talk about that in a video coming up soon, and kind of testing some new systems out. And that brings us to the final part, the gloves. And back to being pretentious, we've got Klein again here. They make good stuff. It's just like everyone I know that's had Klein stuff is like, they are very breathable, summery type of gloves. Nice palm here, feels good. Everything too was very much to like the measurements I thought it was. I didn't find any of this gear, helmet, boots, anything to be unusual with the sizings. That's right, boys. We're going out there doing some adventures. Get me a caramel macchiato at Starbucks. That's why I got this color here, so in case I spill it, it'll all blend in. And big thanks to Revzilla for helping out with this project. I feel like a lot of adventure gear out there is pretty dorky looking, and I've kind of been joking like the bike looking dorky, the gear looking dorky. It's just kind of part of what it is. Maybe my opinion's just changing looking at it enough, but I feel like this stuff actually looks kind of good, right? Like, does it not? I don't feel like I look super dorky. Maybe I do. Maybe, like I said, you stare at something long enough or whatever. That's like when I first got into supermotors. I thought, God, those are ugly bikes, because I was coming from like, I had a 2005 R1, and then I went to a DRZ 400, and I was like, God, I love this bike, but it's so ugly when it's such a beautiful bike. And then as time has gone, now I see supermotors, I see a DRZ, I'm like, yeah! I see an R1, I'm like, you know. Check out the links in the description if you want to see this stuff. The next video should be really cool, because I'm gonna start throwing the body work on the bike, and I think you guys are gonna love it because it's wild looking. There's a fly in here. Here's saying air conditioning. Here's the air conditioning running. I know all the words. I've got a drinking problem. Why, hello there, friend. Depth perception. It's too bright. I was like, calm down, Karen, just calm down. I think a lot of people, and nothing will look out of the ordinary. Yeah. Remember like when he's adding the NOS and he's like, oh no, shut it down. Because that turns the NOS off and the floor falls out. God, I love that movie.